All right, today we're going behind the scenes, not of a movie, but of your own consciousness. We're going to look at the very architecture of how you see the world. We'll decode how your mind builds everything around you. And, more importantly, how you can start to become the architect of your own reality. So let's jump right in.
And that right there, that's the core idea we're unpacking. Your brain isn't just a passive observer. It's not just taking pictures of the world. Nope, it's actively creating a story. It's pulling threads from your past, from your beliefs, from your emotions, and it's weaving this whole tapestry that feels like reality. But is it? Let's find out.
So we're going to start with the foundation of your entire personal story, your memory. But what if I told you that the files you trust the most are actually clever forgeries?
Yeah, this is what psychologists call the sins of memory. These are the totally normal, predictable mistakes our minds make. We love to think of our memories as these pure, untouched records, right? But the truth is, that big file cabinet in your head is constantly being revised. Documents get altered by things you hear later, they get misfiled because you were distracted, and sometimes they're just created from scratch to fill in the gaps.
So let's just bust the first and probably biggest illusion your brain has going. This idea that your memory works like some kind of high-definition video camera.
We all kind of think of our memory like a perfect video recorder, right? You just hit play and it faithfully shows you the past. But from a clinical perspective, the reality is so different. Memory is reconstructive. This means every single time you recall an event, you're not just playing a file. You are literally rebuilding that memory from little pieces. And in that process, the memory itself can change.
This whole process has a name. It's called reconsolidation. And you can think of it like this. When you pull up a memory, a curtain drops in your mind. And behind that curtain, there's a whole set crew scrambling around, changing the props, adjusting the lighting, moving the backdrop. And when the curtain rises again, you're looking at a slightly different scene. But you just accept it as the original truth. You're completely unaware that anything was even changed.
This brings us to a real cornerstone of cognitive psychology, the misinformation effect. This is the phenomenon that scientifically proves just how vulnerable our memories are to suggestion. And honestly, no one showed this better than the pioneering psychologist Elizabeth Loftus.
So the setup was super simple. She had a group of people all watch the exact same video of a car accident. There's no trickery in the film, nothing ambiguous. The real manipulation, it comes next, with a single, very carefully chosen word.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. For different groups of people, Loftus filled in that blank with a different verb. So some people were asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other, but other people were asked how fast they were going when they smashed into each other. The results were just staggering. The group that heard the word smashed guessed the car speed was way higher than the group that heard hit. But here's the real kicker. A week later, she asked them all if they remembered seeing any broken glass in the film. Now, there was no broken glass, but the people who heard the word smashed were way more likely to say, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing broken glass." A single word literally rewrote their memory.
Okay, so if our memories are that fragile, what are the mental tools, the architects, that are actually building and maintaining these illusions? Well, let's look at two of the most powerful ones, cognitive biases. First up, we've got illusory correlation. This is your brain's tendency to connect two things that have absolutely no real relationship. The classic example is this. In the summer, ice cream sales go up, and crime rates also go up. An illusory correlation would make you think that ice cream causes crime. But the reality? Well, there's a third factor, hot weather, that causes both. Your brain does this all the time, creating these phantom connections that lead to some really flawed beliefs. And once your brain creates one of these illusions, confirmation bias is like the loyal guard that protects it at all costs. This is our natural instinct to hunt for any piece of information that proves we're right, and to just completely ignore or discredit or flat out not see any evidence that proves we're wrong. It's the ultimate "I told you so" machine in our heads. So here's the really crucial point. Once you form a belief, let's say it's "I'm just not a creative person," your mind becomes like a corrupt city council. It will shine a spotlight on every single time you failed at a new hobby, every idea that fell flat. But it's going to conveniently ignore that clever solution you found at work last week or that one time you really impressed someone with your insight. It literally filters reality to match the illusion. Okay, so we've seen how the illusion gets built. Now for the most important part of this entire explainer. How do you actually dismantle it? This is the actionable part, where you get to take back control. The tool for this is a clinical technique, and it's called cognitive restructuring. Now, this isn't just thinking positive. No, this is a serious process of de-biasing your own perception. It's all about going behind that curtain we talked about and actually watching the set crew, your automatic thoughts, as they try to build the scene. The process itself is pretty straightforward, and it breaks down into 3 key steps. Step 1 is to identify. You just learn to catch those automatic, distressing thoughts as they pop up. You know, that feeling of, I'm totally going to fail this presentation. Step 2 is to question it. You become a detective. You challenge that thought. What's the actual evidence for it and against it? Did I prepare? Have I done this successfully before? And then finally, step 3 is to replace. You consciously swap out that distorted thought with a new one that's way more accurate and based on evidence. Something like, okay, I'm nervous, but I'm prepared and I can handle this. So here's your daily checklist. When a really strong negative thought shows up, just run it through this little audit. First, just notice that it was automatic. Did this just pop into my head? That creates a little distance. Second, weigh it against the cold, hard facts. Does it really fit the situation? And third, think about the consequences. If I let this thought run my life for the next 24 hours, what would I do? This audit interrupts the illusion and gives you that crucial moment of clarity. So what does this all add up to? Well, it means you don't have to just be a passive member of the audience in the theater of your own mind. You actually have the power to step up onto the stage. And this right here is the key takeaway. Your mind is not a perfect mirror. It's a lens. And that lens can get smudged up by biases and distortions and all those forged memories. But the cognitive audit, that's your polishing cloth. You have the ability to clean that lens and see the world and yourself with so much more clarity. So I'll leave you with this question. Using the tools we just talked about, what's one distortion, one illusion, one little brain lie that you can identify and start to dismantle today? Because the first step to becoming the architect of your mind is deciding which old structures you're ready to tear down.